What really matters at the end of life? One question that changed. HOA. Karen's entire life. Before we dive into today's story, let me ask you a question. What truly matters at the end of life? Is it money, status, or the way we treat people? Stay tuned, because in this story, a man's simple words will completely shatter someone's pride and change her forever. But before we begin, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss powerful stories like this one. In a quiet suburban neighborhood lived Mr. James Carter, a 78-year-old retired schoolteacher. He was known for his warm smile, his neatly kept garden, and the way he always greeted neighbors with kindness. But there was one person who never returned that kindness, Mrs. Karen Whitfield, the self-appointed queen of the HOA. Karen was relentless. She picked on James for every little thing, the color of his mailbox, the length of his grass, even the kind of flowers he planted. Sometimes she would stand on his lawn with her clipboard, writing complaint after complaint. To the rest of the neighborhood, James was harmless, a gentle soul who lived alone since his wife had passed away. But to Karen, he was an easy target, and she never missed a chance to humiliate him in front of others. Little did she know, the man she teased held a wisdom that would one day silence her and open her eyes to a truth she had ignored all her life. One sunny afternoon, James was sitting on his porch, rocking gently in his chair, when Karen stormed over. "Mr. Carter," she barked, "your bushes are uneven again. And that garden gnome, it's not HOA approved. If you don't fix it by tomorrow, you'll be fined." The neighbors watched silently. They were used to Karen's rants, but today James did something different. He didn't argue. He didn't apologize. He just looked at her, his tired eyes filled with something deeper than frustration, something almost sorrowful. "Karen," he said softly, "do you ever wonder what really matters at the end of life?" The question froze her. The neighbors leaned in. No one had ever spoken to Karen like that. But James wasn't angry. His voice was calm, almost fatherly. "What matters isn't how straight your bushes are or what rules are written on a piece of paper," he continued. "When my wife was on her deathbed, she didn't ask me about the lawn, the mailbox, or the HOA rules. She asked if I remembered our first dance. She asked if I knew how much she loved me. She wanted to know if I had lived my life kindly, and if people would remember me with love, not fear." Karen's face flushed, but she didn't speak. For once, she had no comeback. The neighbors murmured, some nodding slowly. James went on, his voice steady but emotional. "You see, Karen, one day you and I will both leave this earth. And when that day comes, nobody will stand around your grave and say, 'She had the neatest lawn,' or 'She gave the biggest fines.' They'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember your kindness or your cruelty, and that will be your legacy." His words struck like lightning. Karen suddenly felt small, standing there with her clipboard, realizing how hollow her actions had been. She thought about her own life, her failed marriage, her distant children, her nights alone in a big, empty house. She had spent years controlling and criticizing others. But what had it really given her? Nothing but fear and resentment from the people around her. That night, Karen couldn't sleep. James's words kept echoing in her mind. What really matters at the end of life? No matter how hard she tried to push the thought away, it lingered like a shadow in the room. She tossed and turned, staring at the ceiling, questioning choices she had made for years. She remembered her youth, how full of dreams she once was. She had wanted to travel, to love deeply, to leave behind something meaningful. But instead, she had built walls of control and criticism, pushing people away until she was left with nothing but a title: HOA president. What did it really mean? A stack of fines, a list of rules, and neighbors who crossed the street to avoid her. Karen thought of her children. They rarely called anymore. Deep down, she knew why. She had judged their choices, measured them by her impossible standards, and made them feel small. A tear rolled down her cheek as she whispered into the empty room, "What have I done with my life?" By morning, she knew she couldn't go on like this. The clipboard, the rules, the constant nagging, it had stolen her joy. For the first time in decades, she felt a desire not to control, but to heal. She had to change, and the first step was to face the man she had wronged the most, James Carter. From that day forward, Karen truly began to change. At first, the neighbors were skeptical. After all, she had spent years terrorizing them with her clipboard and sharp tongue. But slowly, her actions began to speak louder than her old reputation. She started small. Instead of sending out warning letters, she sent handwritten notes of encouragement. "Your flowers look beautiful this season," or "Thank you for keeping the neighborhood bright." People were stunned. Some even thought it was a mistake. But when they saw Karen walking door to door, smiling instead of scowling, they realized something inside her had shifted. Karen also began spending time with James. She'd sit with him on his porch, asking him about his late wife, about the students he taught, and about the memories he cherished most. Each story carried a lesson, and Karen listened like a student eager to catch up on the wisdom she had missed all her life. James became less of a neighbor and more of a mentor, teaching her that true power wasn't in authority, but in compassion. Soon, the entire neighborhood noticed the ripple effect. The woman who once divided the community was now uniting it. She organized block parties, invited lonely neighbors for dinner, and even opened up about her own regrets, encouraging others not to make the same mistakes. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky orange, Karen turned to James and said, "I finally understand. When I'm gone, I don't want to be remembered as the woman with the clipboard. I want to be remembered as someone who cared." James smiled gently, his eyes reflecting the fading light. "Then, Karen, you've already begun writing that new story." And so, what started as another HOA confrontation ended up becoming a turning point in Karen's entire life. One old man's gentle words reminded her, and all of us, that at the end of the day, it isn't the rules, the money, or the titles that matter. It's the kindness we give, the love we share, and the way people remember us when we're gone. Think about it. If your life were to be remembered tomorrow, what would people say about you? Would they talk about the things you owned or the way you made them feel? James's wisdom gave Karen a chance to rewrite her legacy, and it's a chance all of us still have, because it's never too late to choose kindness, to forgive, and to start living for what really matters. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this message today. Until next time, remember, your legacy is being written right now in the way you treat others.